everyone. Lehua and I
Hi.
are back, and today we are going to talk about probably a controversial subject. It's called problems with HHFDC financing. So, for the whatever people that don't know what that means, HHFDC stands for the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation. And many people view them as being the white knight of the affordable buyer. And today we're going to take a lot of shots at them because there are issues potentially with their financing that you 100% have to be aware of. And if at the end of this video, comment if you think it's still a good idea to get HHFDC financing.
Yeah.
So before we jump into what we're going to talk about, originally I had working titles of doing a deal with the devil.
We also had, I am from the government and I'm here to help.
Yay, right? How's this? I'll take the next two. Don't be a partner with Darth Vader. Or, how do you like this? Partnering with the DMV. Okay. So, a little background on HHFDC, who they are, where they came from, and then Lehua is going to jump into one of their programs that you can be part of. I'll take care of the other. Sometimes you're in one program, sometimes you're in the other program, and sometimes you're in both programs. But let me tell you, HHFDC is a government agency. They are part of the Department of Business, DBET, Business, blah, 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 and Planning. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works? Yeah. Too many acronyms. So, but it is a government agency, and I've dealt with them in the past. And just so you know, it's not on the list here, but you're dealing with a government agency. That hopefully will tell you a lot. And I like Lehua's title, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Never a good sign. But they have two programs, and I'll have Lehua jump into the first program. One is a buyback program, and then the other is something they call SAE, which is Shared Appreciation and Equity Program. There is another program for what appears to be governmental workers that we're not going to go into, but that's for teachers, firemen, policemen, that sort of thing. But for lay people, those are the two programs. The buyback program and then the SAE. So Lehua, why don't you tell people about the buyback program?
I will. So if you're getting HHFDC financing, typically you'll be subject to these requirements of the buyback provision. You're required to be an owner-occupant for 10 years. You are required to, if you decide that you want to sell, HHFDC has the first right of refusal to buy it back from you. And additionally, they set the price. So you don't get to decide what you sell it for. If they do decide to buy it back from you, they will tell you how much they're going to pay. Sometimes that is going to be over or under market value.
It'll always be under market value, in my experience. You're never going to get over market value. Well, take that back. You're correct. We'll come back to that. Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. But HHFDC needs to approve any change in title. So if you wanted to, add a child or a relative, or if you died and willed it to your child or something, HHFDC has the final say on who gets to retain title. If you want to refinance, you need HHFDC's approval. So some people think that refinancing can be a way out of this buyback provision, but it's not a way out. And if you refinance without their approval, you are subject to big penalties in the form of fines. So be aware of that.
So let me jump into a few of these things also, and let me add one more to these items. I don't know exactly what it is, but if you read the terms of the paperwork, they have the right to say they don't like a financing option.
Yeah.
All right. And so let's jump into a few things. First of all, I jumped on Lehua for saying you being above market. if I go back far enough,
Yeah.
and in the 1990s, we had a property that was worth probably $310,000 because HHFDC sets the price that you can sell it for. Now remember, it was a very specific number. They set the price at $338,332.
Right.
When the market was $310,000.
And that was when the seller was, when HHFDC decided not to buy it back, but the seller was selling it?
Correct. The seller was selling it.
Buyer.
Correct.
Okay.
But HHFDC set the price, and we went and met with them, and we said, hey, the market is $310,000. Show us how you came up with $338,332. And they had a form that they calculated on, and they look at the appreciation, et cetera, and that's the number they needed to be able to get out of the transaction. Back then, we couldn't sell the property,
right?
Because we there was no equity to be able to disperse to HHFDC.
Yeah.
Let me also address something that we had in one last year on the first right of refusal. True story. We went to HHFDC because we saw their paperwork in the title report, and we said they have a first right of refusal. And because we went to them, we went to the person, and we said, hey, well, you guys want to buy this? They said, no, we don't. And so we put it under contract in a building that market was $600,000.
Yeah.
We put it under contract because it was a rough unit at $525, and we're moving along, and HHFDC came back and said, oh, wait, come out. No, we want to exercise our first right of refusal. And we said, wait a second. At the end of the day, what we had to do then is we had to come to an agreement, the attorneys talked, et cetera, and we sold it in the low 400s, in the 430s, all right? Yeah. Now, that's the challenge with the buyback program. Right? So
because HHFDC sets the price, and if you want out of ownership, you accept. So
yeah, you know, we're going to talk later about what that really means, but underline that in your notes. HHFDC determines the price in the 10-year buyback program. So your option is to deal with them for 10 years or wait 10 years and then it goes away.
Yeah.
Anything else on the buyback program?
I guess just driving home that you have to be an owner-occupant for the first 10 years. And if you try to skirt, I mean, I mentioned that already, but if you try to skirt around that, you will be penalized and or forced to sell in some instances. So it's, you know, sometimes people use condos as a way to build equity and then use it as a stepping stone and size up to a larger property. And 10 years can be a long time depending on.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're 25 and unmarried and you buy a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, get married at 27, right? Have kid number 1 at 30, right? Have kid number 2 at 34. That 1-bedroom, 1-bath is going to be getting really tight.
Uncomfortable.
So I'm going to jump into the SAE. And SAE stands for Shared Appreciation Equity. And government terms, right? I mean, I would have come up with something more elegant, but that's just me. So the SAE lasts forever for the term of your ownership. So ultimately, if you take them out and you buy them out, the next party is not going to be subject to it, I'm pretty sure. But it's forever, okay, for you. It's for owner occupants. And if you sell the property, here's what I love about the government. If you sell the property and they agree to take, you can't fully pay them off. So let's say they were short $50,000. But they agreed to the sale because of the terms and they worked with you on it. They're going to charge you 12% interest.
That's probably why they'd agree to the sale.
Yeah, absolutely. You think? But you know what I was telling Lehua earlier this month? You know what's great about 12% as an interest rate? Well, number one, it's not 18%. But number two, to calculate the interest you're paying, it's 1% per month. So 50,000 is 500 a month. Makes it super interesting.
Just in interest.
Just interest.
Just in interest.
Just in interest. Same thing. HHFDC needs to consent to any change in title. HHFDC won't allow certain types of financing. And here's the kicker, especially on the shared equity side of the equation. HHFDC determines the price that determines the shared equity.
Yeah.
So one would think that you would want to have the highest price so that you get the most money, so you can move on to your next property, and that they would get the most money. In my experience, their price, because they're trying to keep it affordable for the next buyer, comes in below what the current market value for that property is. So not only do you owe them their VIG, that's a mafia term for, got to be careful here. You owe them their slice of the action. That you're probably not going to get fair market value, as if you exposed it to the overall market. Yeah. And that's a huge deal, both in the SAE as well as the buyback program. So as I said earlier, you can buy a property. If you're buying a new property, what's one of them? What you say?
There's Kuilei Place, which is on Kapilani Boulevard. It's under construction right now. Another one, this one is a bit older at this point, but Kapilani Residence has affordable, a lot of these buildings will
Koa
have,
Ridge.
Yeah, Koa Ridge. Kahuina in Kaka'ako has 2 buildings, and some of the units will be, you could buy them through the affordable HHFDC programs. Some of them are market rate units.
Yep.
But yeah, there are a variety of projects around the island.
So if you're gathering, we're not real fans of the HHFDC buyer, because let's run through the numbers. So interesting, affordable, right? Affordable. We ran the numbers when we looked at their chart for a family of 4.
Yeah.
You can make $15,200 a month. Mm-hmm. That's just over $180-some thousand per year. Now, if you take 40% of that, which is what a normal lender would use, on a conventional loan, you could qualify for $1,014,000. Yeah. If you put 3% down, you're buying right around $1,050,000. So what is that? You need $36,000 down plus some reserves. Yeah. And you could buy $1,050,000 property. In a house, probably going to be something you're going to work on a lot.
Yeah.
In a condo, we have a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo right now we could put you into for $749, and with 2 parking stalls in town. And it would be a fantastic place for you. Right. But we can put you into a market transaction with your income that you don't have to get tied into all of this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think our main concern for our clients, what we talk about is that basically, most people participate in the real estate market because they want to benefit financially from it, right? And to do that, you want to keep leverage for yourself and reap the benefits of as much appreciation as you can. When you partner with the HHFDC, they have all of the leverage. They set the price, they control when, how, and or who you can sell it to, and they take a chunk of whatever appreciation you may receive over the years. So you're subservient to them. Yeah, they have all the leverage.
And let me piggyback on that. I think we're being kind to call it a partnership. A partnership connotes kind of equality, right? We work together, etc. And really, at the end of the day, you're a minority silent partner. You don't have a lot of say. You don't have a lot of control. Okay, and Lehua nailed it. You're subservient to them. What they say goes, and that's not something we want to see you in. All right. let me jump into the other issues that you can see. You can't fully participate in real estate appreciation. And what I mean by that is the way you get ahead is by the brilliance is if we put you into $1,050,000 property with $36,000 down, okay? To make it simple on me, if that appreciates at 3% over the first year of ownership with 3% appreciation, you're making about $33,000 on your $36,000.
Yeah.
That continues to compound over time, and that's where you get wealthy. That's how we change people's financial lives, right?
Yeah.
And my personal experience in selling HHFDC properties over the years, when we come to that sale, I'll sum it up in a word. It's a bummer, because we can't sell at market. We have to be subservient to them. They're driving the boat. And my clients haven't felt like it was good for them when we sold.
Yeah. Something else that I think about is a lot of times on Oahu and Hawaii, people will start with a condo, and for a lot of first-time buyers, these HHFDC programs for condos are really attractive because it seems like a good way to get into the market, especially if cash funds may be limited. But a lot of times people have a long-term goal of starting with a condo, sort of maybe moving to a townhome, then moving to a single-family home, and in order to do that, you need as much equity as you can get from your first purchase, if you're not going to keep it, to roll into these bigger properties. And you sort of shoot yourself in the foot a little bit if you are giving up a big portion of that equity to the HHFDC in the 10 years after,
Yeah, or for the rest of your, if you do SAE, it's forever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's your forever partner. It's kind of like nuclear waste, right? I mean,
how do you really feel? Yeah. So
okay,
that's what I'll say on that.
okay. So the
Nuclear
challenge,
waste.
nuclear waste. So I'm got please, I hope the attorney. And it goes along, the other thing that we help people do is we say, hey, let's build a rental portfolio.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go out, get into something you can afford right now. I'm talking with some young people right now. Let's go ahead and let's just, you're paying $2,000 a month. You can buy something.
You might as well.
Just buy it and then live there for 2 years, get an owner-occupant loan, build some more equity, use it as a tool to buy another one, and maybe in 15 years we're going to have 3 or 4 rental properties that knock on wood, the first couple may be cash flowing, but now you've got a portfolio of rental properties. And this, think about that. I just said, let's do over 10 years. Let's say you did it every 3 years. Bought one now, bought one 3 years from now, bought one 3 years from now. That's 6 years. Bought one 3 years from now. That's 9 years. Under that scenario, you could have 3 properties in the next 10 years. In the buyback program, you're tied into one.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Right? Why don't you take the next one, Lehua?
Where are we?
Triple whammy.
Oh, yeah. So these programs can damage your short and long-term values. Something that we see happen all the time with new projects is that investors will buy up a lot of units and then dump them all at once. So the market is just flooded. It drives values down. So, that's an owie to your equity.
She has a 2.5.
Yeah, I have a child. That's an owie. Yeah. And then something else that is super common, we're seeing this all over Kaka'ako right now, and really in almost every new development that comes
100%.
up on island. Within the first 10 years of construction completion, the associations are super motivated to find any construction defects. And they're motivated to do so because within the first 10 years, they're able to sue the developer for any damages. So super common to see litigation in these new buildings.
Yep.
Once there is active litigation, it makes it really hard to sell because it shrinks your pool of buyers. Most conventional financing, they have issues when there's litigation in a building. It really limits the type of buyer that can afford your property.
You need a cash buyer.
Yeah, you need a cash buyer. So
because there's no financing available.
Yeah, pretty
sure.
much.
Yep.
So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is that oftentimes developers will severely underestimate maintenance fees. So you'll see these brand new developments that have a $400 a month maintenance fee, and that sounds awesome. And that's also, sort of a strategy, marketing strategy, perhaps, or perhaps a genuine mistake on the part of,
let's give them the benefit of the doubt, right?
yeah. Sorry, should we be more?
Wow, talk about nuclear.
So it is really common to see maintenance fees rise significantly. Even in the first couple or few years after a building is completed. Yeah. So those are all things.
Well, and tie that into construction defects.
Yeah.
Right. If you see.
Yeah. When you find out that the wrong piping was used, or there's an issue with cement in the parking structure, or stuff like that.
They used what is it called? Anyway, they used basically PVC piping instead of copper, and now the joints are starting to fail, and the association's having to manage all of the leaks
and attorney fees.
So let me jump into are we ready to wrap this up? Yeah. So I think the reason why, let me put a bow on it, why I'm concerned about if you can qualify for standard financing, you're giving away way too much to go into an HHFDC program. It's going to hurt you when you look at compounding. If you just go into a market program and the market does what it's done over the history of Hawaii, you're going to be so much farther ahead by going into a market program than you are by getting tied into these HHFDC programs where you're a second-class citizen. And you don't have say on your property. You're making the payment. Yes, they've given you a lower interest rate, but they really get their pound of flesh for helping you do that. I would rather see you do it on your own, because I think long term the payoff is going to be way bigger than if you get this short term sugar buzz of getting a lower interest rate.
Yeah.
Is it too brutal?
Ooh, kind of a brutal video today.
Yeah.
No, I think that is that's what we've been saying. And
so our next video is going to be wine monk seals, Portuguese sausage, and dim sum. So you're going to want to be able to come in and watch that at our next offering. For now, are we done?
Yes.
Are we done?
Yes.
Okay. You guys, we've been having fun today. This is serious stuff.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions or would like to look at what your options are with regard to getting into a low down financing conventional way, getting into your first property, where there's a will, there's a way. And Lehua is very, very good at that. If you have someone in your life that should be looking at this, let us know. Reach out to us in the emails that are in the comments below.
Yes.
If you want to subscribe, you can do that. And by the way, I'm just going to put this out there as a final thought. We may make some enemies on this.
Yeah.
we may have some comments from people, but I'm going to apologize in advance. This has been my experience and Lehua's experience, and we will always tell you the truth. On that note,
thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.